Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Awakening Her podcast. How are you doing, my friend? My name is Talia Joy. Welcome to my cozy corner of the internet. Pull up a beanbag chair, pull up your water, do whatever you gotta do. Welcome, welcome. If you are new here, I am so happy that our paths have crossed. And if you are a returning listener, part of the community, my homie, my self-growth running buddy, welcome back. So happy you're here. So how are you? How are you actually? Take a deep breath. No matter how you're tuning in today, whether it's an excited day or an inspired day or a heavy, weird, funky day, you are definitely welcome here, and you are always welcome here because this is life, and this is what it means to be human truly, right? Is like some days are up, some days are down, some days are in between. There are colorful days, there are beige days, there are all the things. So again, you are welcome here. That being said, I do hope that you're hydrated. I hope you're rested. I hope you're feeling well. So today we are talking about something that, funny or ironically enough, came into my awareness. Blind spots into my awareness. Okay. One of the things that came into my awareness years ago when I was doing this intense self-development, intensive course weekend thing. And I remember they were talking about blind spots. And at that time, it kind of stuck out to me. It was like, huh? And I don't know if it's how they defined it or how I processed it, but I started realizing that blind spots were these things that we don't know we don't know. So I know, quite a bit about, say, spirituality or self-growth or transformation. And I also know that I don't know a lot about mechanics or plumbing or carpentry. I don't know why I'm going like trades, but those are things I don't know a lot about. So there are things you know about. And then there are things that you don't know about. And then there's a whole other category of things that you don't know. And today we're talking about this in relation to ourselves and our self-growth. And sometimes we can have blind spots within, not even sometimes, we all do. This is part of the growth, but we have these blind spots within, and they're things that we can't see and we don't realize we can't see them. You know what I mean? So these are where a lot of the patterns that are running in the background, the things that shape our reality, the things that feel like they're holding us back, especially like completely without us realizing it, these are blind spots. And this is where your next level, this is where your current initiation is taking you into these places that you haven't yet seen about yourself or haven't yet integrated. So our next level is actually through these. So we're going to talk about this, and this is really helpful if you have been feeling stuck and you don't quite know why. If you keep running into the same types of struggles over and over, whether it's relationships or business, even mental health, being hard on yourself, self-worthiness, confidence, that kind of thing. When you kind of run into the same thing and again, you don't know why, this is going to be a blind spot. So whether you go to someone, this is exactly what my clients come to me for, because you listening and my clients, you're not like new to self-development, you're not new to self-awareness, but sometimes it becomes, as we go farther, and I do end up saying this to my clients a lot, as we go farther down the journey, it becomes more nuanced. It becomes a little bit sneakier because we have moved through a lot of big things, right? So this episode today is going to help you. If you have been feeling this, if you have blind spots, just know you're exactly on par in this transformation. You're doing a great job. I have them too. My clients have them too. So we can dive into this together. The last thing I want to say before we dive in is that the speed at which you can start to identify and move through things like blind spots really does determine how fast you grow. And in some ways, it's kind of like a video game. You can ascend to the next level. If you keep getting stuck on the same level, if you keep getting stuck on the same thing, it's because there's something there you haven't mastered yet. So we're going to talk about how when you can start to identify these things quicker, and the speed at which you can see these blind spots and move through them really does determine how fast you grow. I also want to say, contradictory, but also because it is spirituality and self-growth, it's all the things. Yes, it's about speed, but also knowing that this is your self-growth and healing and transformation journey. So it's not about doing it faster, harder, doing more things. It's about understanding that as we within ourselves gain those tools, gain those resources, do what we need to do to kind of go, okay, what is going on here, and kind of move through, we really do get to move through. So I just kind of wanted to explain that. That might have made sense, maybe not. But yes, it is about speed and moving forward, but also understand that this is your self-growth journey. So how much can we speed up self-growth, right? We can be resourceful. We can, go to therapy or read books or self-inquiry, have a mentor, whatever. We can move through. But at the same time, this is your growth journey that does take time. It takes days, it takes hours, it takes months, we grow and evolve. So hopefully that makes sense. But anyway, you are exactly where you need to be. Let's dive into talking about blind spots, how we find them, how we move through them, and how they are also portals to our unfolding and to our next level. So with that, grab your coffee. I feel like it's a coffee day. Grab your coffee, or maybe for you it is chai, water, lemonade, whatever else you've got going on. And let's dive into today's episode. Hey, beautiful soul. Welcome to the Awakening Her podcast. I am so grateful that you've been led here, and I'm so excited for you that you're answering the call to manifest more magic in your life. My name is Talia Joy, and I am committed to showing you exactly how to manifest more excitement, ease, success, abundance, confidence, love, and anything else you've been craving. So if you're ready to go on a magical journey of spiritual and self-growth to manifest the life you're meant for, we are now besties. Let's dive in. Okay, so blind spots are hidden beliefs, behaviors, fears, stuff in your subconscious that shape your actions and your results. And as I said in the intro, it's without you realizing it. It's without you knowing it. So blind spots, again, are what you don't know, what you can't see that you can't see. They are truly hidden from a protection place. Our brain, I don't know if that made sense. Our brain will hide things from us. Fears because it's scared we're going to step through them, or things that we, that feel soft or tender, or things we don't want to go to. So blind spots, they are hidden beliefs, behaviors. So if they feel hidden to you, again, it's not that you're broken, it's that you're human and you're ready for this next level. Because these blind spots truly do shape our actions and our results without us realizing it. So you may have heard me talk before about how your mind and your thoughts shape your emotions. Your emotions then shape your behaviors, and your behaviors, that all compounds together to create your results. It creates what physically unfolds. So when we have these things almost stemming in our brain or in our consciousness and our belief, it really does trickle out, and it's kind of the originating point of what we create in this life. So these blind spots will actually hold us back. And sometimes how they show up, they can show up in many different ways, but typically they show up as triggers. So something that triggers you, bugs you, pisses you off, and gives you a big reaction that is disproportionate. So if someone really does do something big and you freak out or you protect your kids, that's not a trigger. When we talk about emotional triggers, it's something happens and you react in a way that is a little bit disproportionate to the stimulus, to what actually happened. That's a trigger. Someone does something and it really offends you. It really bothers you. You really shut down. Those are things inside that we just can't see. We can't see. So another way is a reoccurring pattern. So attracting, finding yourself in the same kind of partner or the same type of clients that you're attracting to your business, the same struggle with yourself or your health or your word with yourself or whatever, reoccurring patterns. Those, again, are blind spots. This is in our subconscious. Especially when they're patterns we don't want. I should specify reoccurring patterns we don't want, because we do have lots of patterns that we want to keep, right? But it's these ones that they don't feel good to us. Blind spots also show up as resistance. So This can be procrastination, avoidance, numbing, shutting down, not feeling ready, like eternally not feeling ready to take the next step, holding ourselves back, justifying not putting our needs first, not putting our mental health first, not putting our goals first. I don't mean over like your children, whatever, but you know what I mean. You are important. Your goals are important. What is important? So, resistance shows up in a lot of ways. We resist our goal even though it's what we say we want the most. And these are blind spots. So if you ever think or have found yourself thinking things like, why do I always end up in this situation? Why do I always feel blocked when I try to move forward? Why do I always try to move forward and then something happens to sabotage? Like, what is going on? Why can't I create more money? Why can't I find love? Like, what is actually happening? I'm trying. Like, when we get these thoughts, that is where there's a blind spot. And you can feel it, right? Like, why is this happening? I have no idea. And I personally can tell you times with my pain healing journey, times with money or business or whatever, times in relationship with other people where I'm like, what the heck is happening here? Why does this keep happening? Or what is it like I'm really trying? Why aren't I experiencing results? These are often these blind spots. And the longer you're unaware of it, the longer you stay stuck at the same level, because it is, I keep picturing a video game. Like I said in the intro, it's like Mario or someone running into a wall. And you know how in those old school games, like if you just keep running, the character keeps running, even though the wall's there, but they keep on trying. That's what it feels like. You're running into a blind spot, trying to get over the wall, keeping on going in the same direction with literally something huge stopping you. And sometimes this is why growth and self-development isn't about doing more. It's about seeing more of yourself, being even more self-aware, deeper, more nuanced work rather than flashy new stuff, right? It's often about going a little bit deeper or seeing something you haven't yet seen. So again, the faster you can identify and move through these blind spots, the faster you truly can step into what is on the other side for you. The confidence, the manifestations, the goals you have, the health, the vitality, that next level you. So it's not a flashy promise of just, again, speed it up and go through it. We want to really intentionally look at it. And I'm going to help you with that today. And again, that's exactly what I do with my clients, is often also being a human design reflector. This is literally what I'm made for, especially in my purpose. But I can reflect back what you cannot see. So even in this episode, that's what I can do to help you. That's a huge part of what I can do as a human, as Talia, not just the channel, but help you to see what you haven't yet seen, your light, but also those spots where you want to bring in more light, the spots that you can't see. So anyway, we're going to talk for a second about the brain's perspective, or from the brain level, why we can't see our own stuff. Because I said a few minutes ago, I believe I said something about, our brain is wired to do this, to protect us. So our brain is not necessarily wired for self-awareness. It's wired for efficiency and survival. It's wired for awareness when it comes to survival. Like if we were outside and we were having to detect movement, and we could probably hear more and detect more and be a human, be all primitive. But in our everyday life, it's the self-awareness, I'm being aware of myself being triggered. That's not easily what our brain does. It's not what it does by default. It's wired for efficiency and survival and protection. And it doesn't care a lot about the other things. So it creates neural pathways, automatic responses based on past experiences. So these automatic thoughts, automatic reactions, even when you play that game that's tell me what you think of when I say orange and you're like juice, and then I say, juice and you're like grape or whatever, right? Those are neural pathways. There's association there. So our brain is filled with them. It uses something called cognitive bias. I'm not going to go all into it, to filter reality in a way that confirms what we already believe. So this is why things like what you believe is what you perceive is what you receive. It's there's a lot of these that sound fluffy, but it's true. When we believe something, our brain has a cognitive bias that filters our experience to confirm what we believe so we can stay right, because right is safe. Again, I can't go all into the brain stuff here, but it's so fascinating. So our ego protects us from uncomfortable truths. Our brain literally protects us from confronting things. This is why it's really hard to break through alone. Or if it is alone, you might get an intuitive nudge, a realization. Maybe you don't even realize it's your spirit team, or, somebody that reflects something, or someone says something and it makes you think of something else. That, even although there may not be another person always, that is almost like a third party information. Like sometimes I'll just be sitting there and go, oh, that's why I did that. It's like my intuition popped it in. That almost feels like a fresh perspective. I don't know if this makes sense to you that practice your intuition. You'll know what I'm talking about here. But generally, it's hard to break through alone when we're in our head going, what is happening here? No, but I've tried that. But I've done this. And it's this like hamster wheel with no new thoughts coming in. We're stuck in our own neural pathway web, literally. So this is why we can have blind spots and can't see our own stuff. And so again, it's totally normal. When you're looking through life through your lens, you don't know what you don't know. When I married into my husband's family, his mom is really into quilting and sewing. And I had no idea there were like quilting societies and quilting this and quilting events and quilting whatever. I had no idea that there was so much such a culture in quilting. So often we're discovering things we didn't know were things, right? And this is, again, what happens in our brain. So self-reflection only takes you so far because your blind spots literally live in the unconscious mind. So you're using your mind to try to analyze and reflect on your own mind with a filter. Do you know what I mean? So again, we can get intuitive hits. We can get something from a card a card pulling, or a therapist or somebody reflects something back at us. But it's very hard from your own rat race to decode the rat race. And that again is just human. So when I'm working with people and they share what's going on, often it's actually easy between me and my channel to hold up the mirror and see what's going on and have them see what's going on, to the point where it creates like a perspective shift on a dime. So just know that when you have blind spots, you can have the realization and all of a sudden the awareness on a dime. It doesn't mean it has to be a year's more of work to uncover. It's not buried like that. It's just blind. But when you bring light, it can light up a room. When you realize one thing, you go, oh my goodness. So just today I had a client who was feeling overwhelmed with the pressure of being like positive and high vibe all the time. And by the time we brought it around to see that we're allowed to have emotions, we don't actually have to be high vibe, that we can meet our emotions where we're at. I even brought in how, like with physics, you only have to be high vibe 51% of the time to like change the tides. Anyway, it was this whole breakthrough. But a big realization she had is that she was shaming herself sneakily for not being high vibe, which was creating more. And that made it worse. And that made it worse. And that made it worse. And then through realizing that, she had this like chuckle by the end of it of like, oh my gosh, I was low vibing myself for being low vibe, but I couldn't see it. She didn't realize it. She actually felt like she was being aware, right? Like, why am I so negative? Trying to work through it. But by shaming herself and feeling low about it, it was making it worse. So just a little thing, you may relate to that. That sometimes we just see something. We're like, oh my goodness, that was a blind spot. I remember I had a breakthrough years ago where I realized that I always was saying sneakily in my mind, I'll practice being present later. And I chuckled about it when I realized. I was like, oh yeah, I'll practice presence later. Presence isn't something you practice later. And that was like a poof, like I didn't realize it. And by realizing it, I could actually start practicing presence, which started to change my life. But it was just this like bing, right? So sometimes a blind spot may be to do with like deep childhood stuff, but often we just can't see the way that we're holding ourselves back, or we can't see that we're getting in our own way. If this is you, again, this is my clients, this is totally what I deal with. You're right on par. So I'm going to talk for a second about the spiritual perspective to blind spots. So I believe that the universe is always showing you what you need to heal. And this could be your higher self. This could be your spirit team. This could be higher consciousness. If you keep running into the same challenges, it's not random. It's a pattern. And it's a lesson that your soul and you, the higher part of you, is ready to master. You're actually ready to master the things that you keep running into that are really frustrating. So the problem is most people, it's not even a problem, but most people are not here for the mastery path. And I say this to my clients a lot lately, where I'm like dropping big spiritual stuff from my team to them. And I'm like, I wouldn't say this if I didn't know you were ready for this, because most people don't go the path of self-mastery, but you guys do. Anyone who comes this way and is still here, is still engaged, you are here for self-mastery. And self-mastery asks us to walk through big things, to put on our big girl pants, to really use the tools to face things like pain or, lack, scarcity, fear, wounds that maybe you've been dealing with for lifetimes. So when we go spiritual, blind spots are soul lessons. And I notice more and more my clients are really ready for this big truth, because it's not based in shame. It's based in like, you are ready for more. So most people avoid the discomfort of decoding these patterns, of seeing our blind spots, because sometimes they are confronting, even if it's little. It's just like, wow, I realized I was being this, and that's not conducive. Most people don't even want to see that. Most people do blame their circumstances instead of looking at what needs to shift within. Most people do wait for things to magically change instead of taking radical ownership. Most people do settle into struggle instead of doing the deeper work to break free. And that's not even in shame. I don't mean like most people do and we're so much better. I actually mean older souls will walk the path at some point as they become older souls. This is the lifetime for you, but they will at some point start walking the path of this mastery. But not everybody is an old soul. So there's many people in your life that will never look at stuff like this the way you do, and that's okay. That's what they're on. That's their groove. That's their bag this lifetime. But you and I are here for growth and healing, and it's these big truths. So your growth and healing is the most important thing moving you forward on a soul level and on a personal level. Because the more self-aware you become, the faster you shift, the more tools you have. And it doesn't mean you have to be digging and in hardcore growth all the time, but it is about really getting down these tools of knowing yourself, getting that basic understanding as you already do of our brain, of healing, of all this. You don't have to be a master at all of it, but it's getting these tools so that you can apply them, so that you can hold yourself accountable, so that you can be on your own team, so you can be self-aware and shift, because you don't want to stay there. You don't want to hold on to these blind spots, even if your brain wants to say it's more comfortable. You want more. You want wild abundance, vitality, freedom in this lifetime. So your growth and healing is the most important thing. And that's what separates those who stay stuck in the loop and those who break through and create their dreams, create something better for themselves. Heal their patterns, move out of those patterns, because eternally, spiritually, you don't have to stay stuck in anything, but it'll ask you to grow and evolve. And blind spots are that indication. So we went spiritual because that's where I just love to go. And if all this is resonating with you, I just want to say I have some spots open for one-on-one mentorship. This is where we move through in a shorter amount of time to get you moving, into that next level, to get you continuing along on your path. What you can't see can come into the light so that you can move forward. Because between me and your spirit team and my spirit team, we really cover some deep and also exciting ground when we work together, so that you truly can come out the other side knowing you've moved forward. Okay, so the link for all that's below. You can always reach out to me in all the places for one-on-one mentorship. Okay, so how to decode and move through. As much as self-reflection can often, we're stuck in our own ball of yarn, in our own web, There are things we can do to ask ourselves, because you're not new to this, there are things we can do to start to facilitate our own growth. So first of all, I recommend choosing some time when you can just sit and focus on this, even if it is 20 minutes, but not really always having it as like a flyby, as things you just randomly think about when you're driving, but actually sit down. If you really want to move through, it does take intentional energy. It does take focus and intention, intentional intention. So what I recommend you do is spend a few minutes, sink in, set up the scene, light a candle, do whatever you do that makes you feel, present. And start to sit with your journal and start to get curious about the triggers and the resistance that has been coming up. So instead of diving into what are my blind spots, it's literally like, what do I not know? I don't know. We have to do some foreplay. We got to find a different door. So get curious about what has been coming up. What has been going on? Where do I feel blocked? Where do I feel that resistance? Where is there a pattern that I just cannot move through or can't seem to? Maybe pick one as you move through this, and then you can go back on other things. And often there'll be blind spots that kind of interact with all your goals. But anyways, let's just pick one. Really look at what is the resistance? What are the triggers? And it might be kind of like, no matter what I do, I feel like it doesn't work, or I just don't have the time, or I say I want to and I don't follow through, or even when I spend time doing it, it doesn't pan out, or whatever it is. What is this here to show me? We're just starting to get curious. So you may not have all the answers in this, but what is this showing me? And if we're not following through on ourselves, maybe there's a hidden fear. Maybe we don't believe in ourselves. If we keep attracting people that don't treat us well, maybe that's about boundaries or self-love. Is there something here? Is there somewhere that the universe or life is asking me to, up my standards or shift my behavior or change my energy or do something different? Let's just start to get curious. And then looking at those patterns a little bit more, where do those patterns come up? So if you said, I keep attracting people who don't treat me well, maybe that's about self-love or about allowing people, like boundaries. Is there a pattern of that in other areas of my life? Do I feel like that's a theme that's going on? Also, maybe a pattern that's coming up is about money or about lack or about scarcity. And then looking, what is that here to show me? Maybe I'm stuck in a lot of lack. Maybe there's something here for me to notice there. Let's look at patterns. Does lack come up in other places? Do you feel a lack of time, a lack of support, a lack of space, a lack of resources? Is there lack coming up other places? And asking, what is this calling me into? And what might be stopping me from stepping into that? So let's go with the love example. What is this asking me to step into? And it might be worthiness again, not letting people walk all over me or something like that. And what could be getting in the way, or what might stop me from doing this? The belief that I'm not enough. So I know we got heavy, but this is, working through things. And maybe sometimes, like I have a lot of clients that are starting businesses or in the newer phases, and maybe they're just confused. The resistance is like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to create, how to put it out there. That's really common. I help a lot of clients kind of, get that stuff up and going. And the pattern is like, I get confused, I get overwhelmed, and I shut down and I don't do it. Okay. What does that come up in other areas? And also, what could this be calling me into? It could be calling me into devoting to my vision, following through. And what might stop me from that? The fact that I don't really overwhelm, or I don't really know it's going to work out, or I don't trust myself to follow through. So this is where we start to see the blind spot is in that area. Something is calling you to grow or heal. And this is where, if we have a hard time, we really almost just need outside perspective. And this is where I can see something working with someone in such a short amount of time compared to years they're trying to figure it out on their own. So if you can't, work with somebody or get that, maybe there's a bestie that knows a lot about self-growth or something like that. You can do, feedback from other humans. Again, like I said already, you could pull cards, you could consult your intuition, but sometimes it's buried so deep, and I have these all the time, that the right mentor pops me through in that place. The right outside perspective really helps me to see what I can't see. So if you cannot see it, this isn't a pitch to work with me. This is actually like, I want you to have success. So if you cannot see it, get resourceful. I'm sure you know people that are into self-growth. Maybe, you could have one reading with someone, one session with something. Come with a looping pattern you're experiencing, as much as you are aware of it and what you kind of think might be holding you back, and get someone to help you carry it through, even if it is like a bestie or a sister, someone that knows you really well. Help to see what you might be missing, because this is where we can accelerate through it. If we can't get through that, and it's almost like in life, there are places where if I wanted to build a house, I could maybe get so far. And then there's areas where I'm like, okay, I really do need help with, the electrical or the plumbing, or for me, basically the entire thing. But it's okay to get help. It's okay to move through, whether it's a bestie or a mentor or whatever. That's actually sometimes what we need to do to be self-responsible, to make sure we move forward. I do that where I go in seasons of like, okay, I hit a wall in business and I have to now figure it out. So it might be one call with someone. It might be a mentor I work with for a little bit. It might be a biz bestie that I'm like, hey, how did you move through this? Because I can only get myself so far. In some ways, it takes a village, right? So I just want to say there's no shame in needing someone to mirror back to you. And I would say if you're choosing somebody in your everyday life, make sure that they're not like, you don't have drama, like overly drama, because they could start saying like, I will tell you what's wrong with you, and it might not be helpful, but you need that mirror. You need like, why do you think this is repeating in my life? What is this asking me to heal? What is the common thread here? Or going to a therapist or whatever, you get the picture. But this is where outside perspectives can really make a huge difference. So then what we want to do is, as we notice these blind spots coming forward, or as we notice that they're coming up, we notice ourselves, withdrawing or going to entertain someone who we feel like might be the same as all the other people we've dated, or, we start numbing or something. We want to stop and realize that we're creating new neural pathways. There's something here, and as you get more comfortable, you use your tools. So in the moment where you're numbing, where you're avoiding, you stop and you go, okay, I now realize that this is tied to fear. This is tied to, I don't believe in myself. What do I need right now? Like, continue moving through it. Don't just stop and get derailed there, because that's what we tend to do that keeps the blind spots in the same place. But we want to be aware. I'm pulling back. I'm self-sabotaging. I'm getting overwhelmed. Hand on heart, deep breath. What do I need right now? Bring awareness back into yourself. Try, if you can, going for a walk, or even if you're just in the car, taking a few deep breaths. If you can, meditation or breath work, or doing some yoga and asking like, okay, what is this showing me? What is this confronting in me? What is here for me? Ask yourself what you need. Am I open to seeing what I've been missing? Am I open to seeing what this is showing me from a loving witness? Not from blame, not from shame, from being aware. So blind spots are often a fear that's sneaky, a belief about yourself that's sneaky, that's coming through. So in your biggest areas of life, get curious about the patterns that persist in your life, the patterns that present themselves, and getting curious about them, looking at them, seeing common situations, seeing common denominators, and really being your own self-healer, being your own self-growth junkie, going, what is here for me in this? And if you cannot see that for yourself, no shame ever. You can always ask your spirit team, do some cards, meditate on it, spend some time being open to a new perspective. And then if you can't, with that, people in your life, mentors. Again, this is exactly what I do with my clients. If you've been called to work with me, I would love to work with you. The information is below. We've got some powerful options going on right now to accelerate your breakthroughs, to get clear on what's holding you back, to move forward. But it comes through asking these types of questions and starting to go where you haven't gone before. What's the common thread? What is this showing me? How can I bring presence and awareness and that medicine into my body? What is it that's truly holding me back? And fear feels real, but it's just fear. We can work through that. Not having confidence in ourselves, that's usually patterns and healing to be done. And we can do that. And that's the path that I'm on too. So just know that no blind spots will actually stop you. It's just about more self-awareness, diving in another level deeper and being open to seeing what you're missing, bringing that awareness into your body, slowing down, asking to see what's in there. And you will be shown. Your spirit team answers you. Your higher consciousness, your soul answers you. Start noticing if there's patterns or synchronicities, things nudging your intuition. It might be a book to read. It might be a course to take. It might be an answer that comes through as you hear someone speak. Be open to that, to be shown what is in the way, because you can do this. You can move through. And your success isn't just about how much time you put in. It's about how you can see these areas of resistance and shift them. When we're tired of the same cycles, when we're in those patterns, when we're tired of feeling stuck, it's time to do something different. So if this resonates with you, do what we're talking about. I know you're going to see a difference. And if you do feel called to one-on-one work, again, all the information is below. I work with seekers who are ready to see a shift, ready to move, ready for that spiritual, no BS truth, as well as the very human, tangible steps and practices to move forward. I work with people who know that their growth is the key to everything else. And I work with people who don't want to wait years for clarity. They're ready to speed up the growth now. And if that's you, check the link below. Also, you may be interested in On the Path, which is a private podcast that is ongoing education, ongoing tools, self-growth, themed months, monthly challenges, all the things. It's just $27 a month. You can come, and if it doesn't resonate, you can go at any time. Other than that, I will see you in the next episode. I'm so proud of you. Keep growing, keep expanding, and remember, the answers you are seeking about these blind spots, they're already on the way to you. Chances are you're already doing the work. Keep going. You are worth it. Your dreams are worth it. And I will see you in the next episode. Peace. Hey, thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I really hope that it served you. So before you go, I want to share something with you. If you're loving these conversations about self-growth and healing and moving forward, and you're really ready for more tools, more implementation, more integration, more structure, more what do I do? I invite you over to On the Path. This is my only private community, and honestly, it's the place to be if you want to integrate, if you want to deepen your journey and you find my work helpful. Here's the vibe: bite-sized practices, ongoing support, deep dive episodes, weekly practices, monthly challenges, literally just keeping you on your path, showing up for yourself day by day, week by week, month by month. So this is where you really put it into action, and I've got your back with these assignments, tools, practices, shifts, deep dives, meditations, journal prompts, and literally everything you could need to carve out your unique journey of self-growth, self-healing, and transformation. So I'm not going to go on and on. If you feel called, you feel called. And if you check below, because you made it all the way to the end of this, you'll find a link to join On the Path for the first month for only $11. So after that, it's just $27 a month and you can go at any time. Okay, my love, I genuinely hope this episode lit you up, and I can't wait to welcome you over to On the Path, and I cannot wait to see you also in the next episode. Thanks so much and have a great day.